Hey, Captain Morgan, here's your brand new baby girl. She weighs 6 why even tries and 4 fuck my lives. It's like they're not units of measurement. They're not facts in any way. It's these things that we buy into and let ride roughshod over our heads.
How you're going to recover from that. You're not prioritizing your downtime, the time to yourself, self-care, all those things. Yeah, you're going to burn out. You're going to be stressed.
What if they all find out? What if I stump my toe and it gets infected, and then I get gangrene and they've got to chop off my leg, and then I live under a bridge and nobody will talk to me anymore, and I've only got friends with 3 fentanyl addicts.
Instead of working through the stuck stories, we did some level 2 stuff, and we celebrated my wins. That for me was very difficult.
Tricks them into being innocent bystanders, spectators in the stands. And we want you to get in the arena. We want you to take hold of the wheel, captain shit, and take your ship where you want it to go and hang out with other people that you want to and have fun.
Hello, and welcome aboard another episode of the Captain's Lifestyle Podcast. This episode is going to be no fun.
Zilch.
No fun at all. I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the captain, Mr. Mark England. And we are going to be having what I imagine to be a riveting discussion on who knows what. Who knows where the conversation will go. And before we dive into this conversation, I want to give you guys a word from our sponsors. First up, this episode is brought to you by Lambs, this beanie that I've got on right now, which is made of silver. And it's not only antimicrobial, but it blocks up to 99% of harmful EMFs. So my billion-dollar supercomputer, my brain, is protected right now from the effects of oxidative stress that can cause things like headaches, irritability, trouble sleeping, inflammation, tinnitus, things like that. So you guys can get the hookup on anything from Lambs. Head over to getlambs.com, enter code Captain Morgan. That will save you 10% on the world's healthiest clothes, essentially wearable antioxidants. Next up, this podcast is brought to you by HVMN, specifically their new product, Ketone IQ. You ever had drinkable ketones?
I'm going to get one of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're promo
code.
Yeah, promo code Captain Morgan. These are drinkable ketones. It's rocket fuel for your brain and for your body. Just twist that shit. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. No. Just, yeah, we're going for it. Cheers. Yeah. That'll get your brain going.
It tastes like it would. There's like some alkaloidness to it.
Yeah, I always say it tastes like rocket fuel because it is rocket fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Get your brain firing, gets it wiring, and get your body going too. This is one of my this and understanding how to properly nasal breathe during workouts are my 2 biggest performance enhancers.
No shit.
This honestly has been a game changer for me.
Well, you're jacked, dude. So, I mean, listen to him.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys can get the hookup on anything from Ketone IQ. Definitely recommend these for travel because they're under the arbitrary 3 ounces that you can take with you on a plane. So you can travel with these, throw them in your gym bag, wherever. Use code Captain Morgan 10. That will save you 10% on the world's best exogenous ketones. All right, let's start it off with a bang. So no need for an introduction. You're a repeat guest on the Captain's Lifestyle Podcast, which in fact, your episode is my most recommended episode. When people ask me, what episode should I start with? I recommend episode 126 with Mark England, Overcoming the Victim Mentality Using Language Jiu-Jitsu was the name of the episode.
Dude,
and
right.
People eat it up. It's eye-opening for many people. Understanding that they themselves are controlling or constructing the prison that they're creating with their words. And once they get the key, which is the language, to unlock that prison, it's like a whole new world has been opened up.
Yeah, it's the words, the words included in the conversation about mindset. Like we tell you, so when when mindset is held in this almost exclusively big picture conversation, which I'm sure I said very likely verbatim on that first show. And it's the thing we know we need to get better at. How are we going to do that, though? There's that Chippendales looking motherfucker over there. That looks fun. I'm over here. Whoops, would have been nice. When we learn about what words take us down a path of constriction and stress response and trapping our breath and myopic focus on problems. And if we stay there long enough, so there's a thing called soft talk, maybes and mights and guesses and stuff. And if people use those with enough frequency and enough intensity over a long enough period of time, they create a lot of indecision, and eventually they identify themselves as indecisive. And when someone identifies themselves as, well, indecisive or decisive or confident or a fuck up or whatever, once we identify ourselves as such, we get way better at being that thing. And so yeah, we teach people about how to use their words, if they so choose to stay focused on the things that are important, keep the drama down, breathe well, be a good person to talk to, be a, which one you want to?
I was going breathe.
Oh, breathe.
Yeah,
I thought he was going for the AK-47. Yeah, we may or may not have two on the table right now. Bolt open.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unloaded.
Yeah. So because
Safety
this is a
on.
fucking captain show, dude. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Show up to go on Taylor's podcast with only one AK-47? Did you think this was amateur hour?
No. We do it. We go hard. We're missing something. Let's grab that bottle of rum up there.
Oh,
Let's for the 1911.
I go back and forth. That's my PC.
So what
The hell is this?
what do we have in here, Mark England? This looks like a true pirate concoction here.
So once upon a time, I'll talk about this and then go into I'll tell the backstory of it, and then we'll go into the ingredients and what it will do, what it does, generally speaking. So once upon a time, there was a guy named Sanbao. And Sanbao was a drug runner. He lived in Bali, and he ran ecstasy into he was a mule for an ecstasy gang into Australia. And one of those times, the run didn't go so well, and he got caught with a bunch of fucking pills, and did 4 years in the Australian pen, and got out, and he was like, that was good enough. I'm good. And so he gets into qigong and oolong tea. So oolong tea is Chinese. It's cool. You look it up. It's cooler than green tea in the sense that, it's green tea processed in a certain way, and there's a lot more accoutrements and pots, and you can turn it. So it's a path. So he's now the qigong and oolong tea guy at the spa where Adam Chin and I meet in 2007, and Sanbao and I became friends. And so I'd go over to his house and we would drink tea, and at the end of the evening, we would have a shot of what he called the concoction, which is a little bit of a scaled down version of this. And
You scaled it up.
I scaled it up. So he would have this glass jar, and it would just sit in there and soak. And it was goji berries and cinnamon and one strain of ginseng. So, and what it would do is it would warm you up. It's a yang tonic. This is actually a yang sex tonic. It tonifies the kidneys, increases blood flow, and it's as organic as it's gonna get. So we actually named this thing. I've been making this concoction for 15 years, and we're at the best version of the batch. And I don't know who said it. Might have been Kyle Gray, because he's good at naming shit. Dojo Mojo.
Mhm.
Dojo Mojo. So the base is organic vodka, 2 strains, and I got everything from Mountain Rose Herbs, which is as good. You familiar with them? They're fantastic. Red ginseng, red Korean, I forget it's Korean. Red ginseng, white ginsengs. One of them is from Korea. One of them is from here in Appalachia, where we are. And there's a good chance we're going to talk about the little party I can blew up this weekend. Goji berries, cinnamon, and Shazandra berry.
Did you make that up?
I did through trial and success, because there's trial and error. There's also trial and success. Everybody probably heard that fuck around and find out scale. That's current. That's going around right now.
The more you fuck around, the more you're gonna find out.
The more you find out, and then this particular soak is 18 months old. And the longest soak that this right here with, and I haven't looked at stuff in a long time, and it's very rare to get a soak that's over 3 months long. Okay. It's about $10,000 worth of go fast juice. If we put it in a particular kind of the highest end bottle with the highest end label with the highest end website, so the marketing has to match. This is a very quality product, and then you could sell it for $200 an ounce. Okay, and it smells fantastic, and
tastes good too. I had some the first night that I came in.
Yeah,
very warming.
It's very warming. It's great for the fall, great for the winter. Yeah, and so magic concoctions, why not?
Speaking of sex tonics,
right?
As you said, that was. Explain what's in this bag, Mark England.
This is mine. I like how you just thunk the bag of dick pills on the
dick and pussy pills.
Dick and pussy pills, because
and drinks.
I just got those. I got those 3 days ago. I didn't know they existed, and I found them because I go into convenience stores, like lower end convenience stores, and I keep an eye out because there's this thing. It's called the reticular activating system. So let me find the one that started it all.
Oh, swag 2. That's the one?
Yep.
I think it's on the other side.
On the other side.
Right there.
So I took one of these things. I've taken one of a gas station dick pill once in 2003. And it wasn't that one. I don't know what it was. I was in a convenience store and I was picking up a fucking 6-pack and I'm going to go hang out with this chick. And I'm like, why not? And it was one of the hardest erections I've ever had. Okay. Plus numb, which I think a lot of this stuff like threw people like, hey man, that fucked my shit up last night.
Yeah.
And so they hopefully tinkered with the formula. Yeah. Like I said, I'd rather do this than that. And so they put things on here like long lasting or no headache, works with alcohol, extremely hard dick, numb dick, and I came quick. And so we're both unsatisfied customers. Yeah. And I was like, okay, not doing that again. Fast forward to 2017. I'm driving down the road, minding my own business, going from the farm to Richmond. And I stopped to get some gas at this redneck gas station. And I walk up to the counter and they've got a plexiglass rack of 12 of these things. And I'm like, wow, those have come a long way. Because this is actually pretty interesting. You know, like got some holographic shit going on, and it's
eye-catching.
Thanks. Even better. Correct. It's eye-catching. And the other, like back in the day, they were just like weirder, or not as good as weird.
Those collector's items now.
These are, we might be holding an original Babe Ruth. There might be a serial number on this thing. Okay, well, yeah, there's a lot. Yep. There's an expiration date. We're good to 2025. Perfect. Okay, good for us. Never know what's going to happen. Might gotta, yeah. And so I walk up the counter, and there's this woman behind the counter who's 65 years old, country, super skinny, looks like she's been smoking cigarettes since she was 4 You can imagine it, right?
I've got the picture.
You've got the picture. Super. We've all seen them. And then I go, do people buy these things? And she goes, yeah, they're flying off the shelf. And I go, which one is the best seller? And she pointed to Swag. Okay, Sex with a Grudge 2. That's what it says. And this is number 2. There's an original, and it's got describe what are we looking at here?
On the front of the package here,
he got ready. He cleared his most
clear
on
the
the front of the package.
It's about to be a detailed explanation of what we got on here. On the front of the package, we've got 2 separate
Couples.
Yeah, couples. The first image is of a guy standing with his hands on his hips, all proud with a rock hard erection. The woman is laying on her belly, face down, ass up. That's the way they like to fuck, with fire coming out of her ass.
Yeah.
That's so underneath it says one to hurt it. The second picture,
the guy's looking down at her. He's looking down at her, and I think she's got at least on the first one, she had a little smile on her face. Yeah. Maybe not so much on that one.
The second picture is of a man with an even bigger erection, with guns up, biceps flexing, with a demonic look on his face, and the woman is now laying on her back with flames coming out of her vagina.
Like twice as many flames.
And she's just laying there in bliss with a smile on her face.
And X is over her eyes and a big fucking smile.
Underneath it, it says 2 to kill it.
And then that's fucking true. And this woman behind the counter, she'd been smoking cigarettes since she was 4. She goes, I understand wanting to hurt it, but do you really want to kill it? And it was one of those moments where it's like, am I dreaming? It was one of those, I wasn't laughing. Trust me, I've laughed a shitload since then, but I was like, am I dreaming? And then I go, I'll take 3 and give me one of those Boss Lion 9000s. And so I walked out of there with some new gas station dick pills. And I told Sam Ramsey about it, who's this guy who he's a Richmond guy, lived in the same house his whole life. He's an inventor, and he's good at fixing things. He gets paid a lot of money under the table fixing HVACs and shit. And I showed him the dick pills, and for like you could see it in his eye. He liked the Boss Lion 9000, and so we started calling him Boss Lion. And then we ran him for sheriff in 2018 for Richmond. He didn't win, but we had stickers made up. Said Sam Boss Lion Ramsey for sheriff. Every vote counts. 2018. And we put those things all up with the neighborhood. It was this running fucking joke. And and I started collecting them. And
we got some good ones.
Okay. We're just going to cut this thing in half.
Yeah.
You break those down.
All right. And I've actually looked at the ingredients in some of these.
Some of them are legit.
Some of them are legit. Like Superman, titanium 700,000.
Well, we'll just go tit for tat.
Yeah.
Okay. Honey Geyser, male sexual enhancement, sugar and caffeine free, 100% organic, 5,000 extra strength. We're not sure what the hardest I've ever heard him laugh is. We'll get to the
Donkey Punch with a picture with a picture of, I forget that donkey's name, but from Shrek. Donkey Punch.
Ladies, gentlemen, go back and watch the video on this. If you're in the middle of listening, go, because it'll just Pink Pussycat CBD sex pill. No headache GMP. Do you know what GMP means? Right there. Heightened sensations and desire. Make your pussycat purr.
On the same note of the female version, we've got the WAP packet here,
Nice.
Which you sent to me.
Correct.
Unknowingly, I believe, on my birthday.
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
Rhino Blue 1,500K. One capsule for 5 days, no headache, time, size, and stamina. Maximize the time of intercourse. Better ejaculation control, no limits. These are exactly how it's written. Amazing in thickness. No prescription necessary. Doctor designed.
Doctor, does it say doctor designed?
Yeah.
Or doctor designs. Oh, this one says doctor designs.
Yeah. That's how you know you're getting that real shit.
Yeah.
When the English is slightly off, that's that Pakistani shit.
Even though it says made in USA. This one's,
I hope not.
This one's Magnum Gold. We've got 2 capsules in this one. It says 3 extreme stamina, time, size. There we go. No side effect, no headache. The fact that they put no headache on there means that
all of them.
they've got a lot of complaints that they got headaches.
R8 Maxi 3,000K.
300. Wait. Oh yeah, 3,000.
3,000K. Lasts up to 72 hours. Works with alcohol. Experience rock hard erections. Maximize volume of ejaculate.
So this one's only medium strength. On the back it says strength level medium, and this is 900K gold, setting the new standard. So there's there's a higher intensity than this one, because this is just medium strength.
Premium Zen Gold 19,000. One capsule for 7 days. There's a bunch of shaped like a bullet. Increases sexual confidence. You've got original. Beware of counterfeit.
And this one says, please check up our website.
Check it up
on there.
Check up
their website, which is it doesn't say their website on here. So just
check it out.
Search Perfect Premier Zen.
Did I tell you that I made a bid? Somebody's got gasstationdickpills.com. And I was surprised. I went to GoDaddy, and this is about 6 months ago. I was like, okay, fine. I'll and it was their price, not mine. GoDaddy brokered a pitch. I pitched it for $500. I'll pay $500 fucking dollars. For $69, that was the price for GoDaddy to get in contact with the person who owned gasstationdickpills.com. I paid that shit. They did not respond, and I tried.
Damn.
Beast. This all it says is Beast. 41,000 mg. This is one of the weirder ones. It's like might be the creepiest. This
one says you've got original, beware of counterfeit. This one's got to be counterfeit, because that one doesn't say any. It's got no stamps of certification on it, like this one.
I'm gonna read the ingredients. Tribulus terrestris,
which I have heard is good for naturally increasing testosterone.
I've heard that also, and you know way more about this stuff than I. Lycopene.
Never heard of it.
L-arginine.
I imagine they meant L-arginine, which is a vasodilator, which is an amino acid that I recommend pre-workout, pre-sex. But I've never heard of L-arginine.
Demiana leaf.
Never heard of it.
Guarano.
It's a good one. That's natural energy.
Ginkgo
bilboa. That's also a good one.
Maca
can increase sex drive.
Vitamin B12.
Natural energy.
Vitamin C.
Interesting. They put that in there.
Vitamin D.
Vitamin D3, just to make sure you're healthy.
Zinc oxide.
Zinc oxide helps with testosterone.
And ginger.
All right.
So
they're not bad.
Bullshit. No, it's like, what's the quality level? That's
also like, if we got these tested, like what would actually be in there? You know, like, is there actually 2,700 milligrams of vitamin D3 in here? Unlikely.
We have a website on this one. So this is Platinum Rhino Love 20,000.
Featuring a love condom.
Featuring a love condom. I'm not sure what that is, and I haven't opened this, but like there's nothing. You'd think it'd be right there.
Yeah.
And on the back, it's www.anylovetime.com. I'm serious. I'm fucking serious. Dude, anylovetime.com. Time, size, stamina plus love condom. And there's the amazing increase in thickness again.
Of course.
Of course.
You gotta have that girth.
Gotta have it.
Back to the girl side. We've got Diamond Girl here. Diamond Girl, #1 female enhancement, 100% guaranteed. Heightened sensation and desire. Discontinue use of this product if you have any signs of shortness of breath or heart irregularity. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA.
Triple maximum. This one's got the most dank holograph game.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Big cock.
Dude, I've seen hundreds of gas station dick pills, and like I only pick the ones. So the rhinos, like the animal, the rhino is very
That's a popular one.
It's very popular. It's overrepresented in there's not very much variation between the rhino genre.
I think that's because the horn. You want your dick to be like the rhino horn. Maybe not as pointy.
Not as pointy and not as like, dangerous. And so I'll walk into a store and maybe one of every 30 gas station dick pills I'll purchase. This is Big Cock 425K. Okay. 7 days long lasting, works with alcohol. Like I said, this has got the best holographic game on there. And then a lot of it says the same stuff on the back.
Here we've got kitty cat. Make the kitty go silly.
It's important to do that.
This one also says #1 female enhancement. This one also has good ingredients. Ashwagandha root, tribulus, horny goat weed, extract, maca, Panax ginseng. So this is all good stuff in here. NADH. Take 1 capsule for women as directed 20 minutes prior to sexual activity. You got to time it right.
You have to direct
them.
They must be directed.
Leaking.
Okay, we got some new copy on the back here. So this is R.69 Maxi 3000K. We free from premature ejaculation and maximum intense explosive orgasms.
Mark, we forgot some stuff on Big Cock.
What we miss?
I'd like to revisit
Big
Big Cock.
Do it.
On the front here, so this is a 425K Big Cock, 7 days long action, fast and long lasting, longer and harder, works with alcohol, no headache. On the little corner up here, it says triple maximum, whatever that is. And then even though this is 425K Big Cock, it says down here, 25,000 power. I don't know if you guys can handle that. That's a lot. And then on the back, serving size, 1 capsule, 1,250 milligrams with over 19,000 milligrams concentration value. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Last one.
Hit
us with it.
This is this might be my favorite as far as just the way it looks, and it's King Gorilla XXX 5,000K.
Except it doesn't say gorilla.
Oh my God, dude. I just fucking noticed that shit. And I've looked at that numerous times. That's me superimposing what I expect to be there.
That's your reticular activating
That's
system.
exactly what that is.
Pronounce that.
Gorilla. See, this is why. It's Gorilla. And then on the back, it's got a fucking, it's got a,
All the African safari.
yeah,
animals.
like, you see a backdrop of a city. It's like all the animals in the same. I did not. I was reading gorilla.
Yeah,
Gorilla. Good catch. Dude, so
there you have it. For the gas station dick and pussy pills.
that was, yeah. People are like, what are we listening to? So a podcast. We did a resilience workshop. So the first time Taylor and I met in person, we did a resilience workshop in Richmond. Language, breathing, knife fighting, and some basic ice bass, and some basic firearm stuff, which is I know your background. It's like, and we had fun. And Taylor stuck around an extra day, and I hit him up the next morning. And I'm like, hey, dude, you want to help me take back some tables? Because we rented some tables and stuff. And he goes, yeah. So I went over and scooped him, and we dropped off the tables. And then my dad used to own convenience stores in Richmond, Virginia. Best parts of town, worst parts of town. And the same exit off the interstate, there were two of my father's stores. It was I used to cut the grass for all these, and we would call them 1, 2, like the number that he opened them. That was how they were referenced. And so we went to 2 and 3, which one was right outside Wickham Court in Richmond, Virginia, housing project. The other one was right outside of Mosby Court, and it was a half mile apart from one to the other. And we went in there. My father does not own those stores anymore, and it was maybe what, $80. Those are some good ones too. Those are some interesting ones. Like I would add those to my collection. And the hardest I've seen him laugh so far. We've had some fucking good laughs this weekend. Everybody, we'll very likely break down some of what we got into this weekend. And it was when you read, it was like 19,000% of the daily allotted, and he just fucking lost it, dude. Just lost it. And I gave him those to take to the Strong Coach Summit, and you put them in the fridge and videotaped people going, what? And then he sends me these videos, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what it is, but this thing is funny, and it keeps going.
That was a good time. Seeing people's reactions to those just sitting in the fridge, just completely like flabbergasted. What? Why? How did these get here?
These things have been sitting out on the kitchen table for the past week. Okay. Here's what will happen. Get yourself 5 minimum collectible gas station dick pills and show up to a party and just dump them on the table and watch what happens. Exactly. People will start picking them up and they're like, what? Look at this one. And then it's funny as fuck. And it's also a high level icebreaker. How can we take things overly serious? There's a bunch of dick pills, gas station dick pills with stuff like this written on them. Sitting on the table.
Because what happens most times?
These things are good, dude.
Right? Is your brain on?
I can feel it. It's not coffee.
No.
Okay, because I drink coffee in the morning. I feel that. This is something. I'm gonna get some of these.
Yeah. Everybody who I get that on is usually hooked.
They like them.
It's not like the coffee stimulant. It's just like a level-headed alertness.
Something else to it.
Yeah. But going back to the dick pills and the party situation, what happens most times when you go to a party and you may not be comfortable with everybody there? Like maybe it's your first time, and then you see the gas station dick pills on there, and like you said, it's a fantastic icebreaker. It's a way to relax, because there's gas station dick pills on the table. It's not a serious party. Well, meaning
I know what you mean.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. It's not a claustrophobic tight party.
Yes.
And he's got it tattooed on his hand, and we talk about it from time to time, breathing. So people will say things like, I have social anxiety disorder. And I'm like, oh, you mean you're holding your breath? I get really nervous when I meet new people. Oh, you're holding your breath. I get really nervous when I think about going on podcasts or giving presentations. Oh, you're holding your breath. Here's a good one. I suffer from premature ejaculation. Oh, you mean you're holding your breath? It's you get the breath thing sorted out, and you've sorted out all kinds of shit that outside layer of the onion, depending on where you are or what it is, will get some weird label, and then you'll have some thing to help you manage that symptom when it's your breathing is trapped in your chest.
This this tattoo that I got is a fantastic reminder.
Is that your only tattoo?
No, I've got one on my ankle that I got on my first deployment.
Okay.
To Okinawa. Got it with like 12 other dudes. It's a little sailboat to represent our deployment. But yeah, the breathe on the hand. I dig it. Every time I look down, it's just a reminder right there. So speaking of the reticular activating system,
yep.
Let's go into that. What is that? Why is this important to be aware of?
It's a piece of hardware that we all have, and we've all experienced it in a variety of ways. The most common, I've been talking about this for a while, and you to try things out and see how people respond. The most common way to go, oh yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. You buy a new car, and then you start to see that car out and about. And you're like, where the fuck are all these RAV4s coming from? Or all these 1976 Chevy pickups? There's actually a lot of 1976 Chevy pickups out there. And if you go and buy one, you're going to start seeing more and more and more of them. So again, it's a piece of hardware. It has a search and an edit function, as in once something gets programmed as important, and it's impartial, we can program it to go find more of and edit out. So find more of a thing. Okay. It could be proof that everybody's out to get you. It could be evidence that you're making progress. And a lot of that is dependent on how you use your words. And as the reticular activating system gets programmed and it starts to build up this process, this mechanism of finding more of the thing and editing out anything that's not that. Okay, so and I'll relate this to story. Another way to describe an experience with the reticular activating system. We've all had, I'm assuming, you're sitting there doing your thing and you catch this noise out of the corner, like you hear it and then you can't stop hearing it. That's the reticular activating system. So you hear some surprisingly positive news about someone, okay, and that changes the way you see them in your head, okay, and then you see them at a party and you're extra excited to see them. And it goes both ways. We very likely that's happened. That's also the reticular activating system. So this woman comes in and sits down, and I might have, because I use this story a lot. I might have used this on our first show. She goes, my husband thinks I'm attractive, and I'm just not having it. I don't believe him, even though I know he means it, and I know when this thing got started, and I don't know what to do about it. And she went into the story of when she was 10, and she walks into her grandmother's house for Christmas, and her great aunt's right there at the door, and she leans down and gets in her face and goes, "My, you have a big nose, just like me." That little girl tightens up, because there's two kinds of spells, folks. There's constrictive spells and there's expansive spells. The definition of a spell, I definitely talked about this on the last one. A word or a combination of words of great influence. That's Webster's definition, not mine. And like a lot of things, it goes both ways, as in combinations of words can be detrimental and constrictive in nature and force you to stare at yourself as a piece of shit, or your words can expand you, unlock your breath, see yourself as capable and confident, and identify why you've built that confidence and that competence. And so these things take hold and they create momentum. And And so she gets, you got a big nose, kid, just like me. She runs into the bathroom, looks at her face, and her nose is now, it's not any bigger than it was 5 seconds ago, but the reticular activating system creates this fixation on it. And now she thinks she's got a big nose, which means she's ugly. There's the identity. I've now, oh, so because I've got a big nose, I'm ugly. And since you're ugly, great, I'm going to keep proving that to you, and any information that is contrary to that, I'm going to edit it out. Remember, it's got a search function and an edit function. And so now, so because you're ugly, I'm going to show you all the other flaws repeatedly. Okay. I didn't ask you if you're going to like it. I'm just, this is what's going to happen. And then when your husband's like, damn, baby, you look good, that filter, that lens, it's just, it will not let it in. It's confirmation bias, right? And so, yeah, that's a decent example of how our language interview or influences our reticular activating system in a constrictive way. If y'all want to look up, I'm not going to go into this story, look up The Invisible Gorilla. That's a very, you can see the original video on YouTube. It's a minute video.
We'll put the link in the description.
Yep. Very cool. That's one of the, it's very eye-opening.
So I imagine that she, along with anybody else who gets some sort of, criticism like that, where a well-meaning family member points out one of your attributes, I imagine from that point forward, you start to view yourself as a caricature, to where that feature is just blown out of proportion. And then that's how you see yourself. And then because of the reticular activating system, that just keeps getting reaffirmed and reaffirmed and reaffirmed. So how do we start to take the focus from the negatives and switch them more towards the positives or beneficial side of things?
Fantastic question. We'll go macro and micro. Macro, there's a game to be played, folks. There's a game to be played with your story. There's a game to be played with your identity. Okay. Talk about the definition of identity again. There's a game to be played with your language, your words. Your words build your stories build your identities. And we take out identity and put in mindset. And when someone, and if you really want to get in there and get some good work done, forget about mindset, work on your words, work on your stories. And a lot of stuff downstream will get taken care of, the big picture stuff. It's like, that's like looking at yourself every 15 minutes in the mirror naked, waiting for things to change. It's like watching paint dry. Don't worry about that. Just stick to the programs, the processes, and eventually the results will show. So know there's a game to be played. The current definition of identity, Webster's, not mine, the fact of being who or what a person is. Okay. I did that. I dispelled that. Dispel means to cast out that idea. Okay. That idea on stage, 1,800 people. You can go watch the YouTube, the TEDx talk, go to YouTube, put in Mark England TEDx talk. And I asked 1,800 people, raise your hand, no brainer shit, if you see yourself different in any way today than when you were 5. And it's such a ridiculous question. Everybody laughs. Okay. Because everybody does see themselves different than when they were 5. So what does that mean? That means our identity is not, it's not a fact. It's not just the way we are. Our identity.
It's not a constant.
It's totally not. It's the exact opposite. It's this fluid process that we're participating in, and most people's language, due to a lack of education about it, tricks them into being innocent bystanders, spectators in the stands. And we want you to get in the arena. We want you to take hold of the wheel, captain shit, and take your ship where you want it to go and hang out with other people that you want to and have fun. And most people's, and this gets way too fucking much credit, the word belief system. Okay, I've got all these belief systems. It's clunky, or it's mechanical, and it's just too much. Oh, you mean ideas? You mean you have some ideas about yourself, also known as opinions? Like, you're not going to find nothing ever works out for me on the periodic table of elements. These are not facts. Okay. No one ever goes, hey, Captain Morgan, here's your brand new baby girl. She weighs 6 Y even tries and 4 fuck my lives. It's like, they're not units of measurement. They're not facts in any way. It's these things that we buy into and let ride roughshod over our heads. So the first things first, and it's not exclusive. And this is my personal professional opinion, take it or leave it. There's a natural order of progress. There's a coaching progression. Okay. Most of the time you're going to meet your clients where they're at, which is in the stuck. They've got a problem somewhere. That means they've got a story, which has got some conflict language patterns of a victim-centric nature. And the fastest way to break those kinds of spells, which it's really tough. I've made this mistake. So somebody comes in and they're all fucked up about something or 19 somethings. And we're like, okay, let's set some goals and I'll hold you accountable. What's going on there as far as a reticular activating system process conversation is these negative stories, which are on repeat in their head, creating the negative dense energy, trapping the breath in the chest. When someone's breath is trapped in the chest, they're going to be myopic in their focus. Okay. They're going to be fixated on a problem. And until that breath is released, they're going to keep staring at that thing. So what you want to do is break those spells. I'll get into a little more specific detail. Clean house before you throw the party. We just blew this place up in the best way. And it was clean when we started. Okay. And then sometimes you got to clean up afterwards. But yeah, break some spells. Okay. Then they're going to be, their breath will be looser and lower. Okay. They'll be more in a parasympathetic nervous system response. They'll have more mental real estate to start changing some of those stories, as in celebrating wins. And then once you got somebody celebrating wins, I'm going to talk about what that is in a second, then they're primed to pick a target and create a plan and stick to it way easier than when they were beating themselves up over the head about 17 different things that happened 19 years ago. Mm-hmm. So the fastest way to break a spell, and a story is a spell. So a specific story about the bullying, and you go for where the action is, put the gorilla on the table. Put the gorilla on the table. As in, title the specific event. So let's say someone got bullied a lot, and that is the main driver of their atelophobia, which is the fear of not being good enough. Look that up. That's the real top. Atelophobia. There's a title for it. The fear of not being good enough. It's the main driver of their confidence issues. The times they got their ass kicked in middle school when they've been compensating ever since. So let's say it happened mainly in 7th and 8th grade. But there were 2 events that really, really shook them then. And every time they think about it, it just tightens them up. Bet the farm they haven't written those out. They haven't written those out. So people are story hoarders. Okay. They keep their, and I understand why they keep their stories of ouch and pain and sting and woe and the wins, the times they nailed it in their head, which is they don't even have a draft to hand in if we want to get all high school about it. Very disorganized, very hard to deal with, very hard to move through as far as a coaching process, transformation process is concerned, dialoguing back and forth in context to once the story is written down. So you go for the time that they got that super huge wedgie and everybody laughed at him in the classroom, the gym, locker room, and the time they got knocked out in the one and only time they tried to stand up for themselves, and they're like, oh, okay, well then they identify themselves as a pussy, and I'm a beta male and all this stuff. And then you've got the reticular activating system going, oh, if that's the case, in the way I'm going to keep proving that to you. Mm-hmm. Title those specific memories, write them down on paper. Now they're way more organized before than they were in the head. And you can air those things out, as in get the breath in there, and break those spells. Okay. If you want to know more about that, work with Taylor. Okay. Go to his events, hire him as a one-on-one coach. I don't know if you're doing that, but work with him. He knows what he's doing. And so you create some space, mental real estate. And then from there, all of your clients have wins to celebrate. What do we mean by celebrating them? Title the specific times you got it right. They've got them. They haven't written those down either. Title them and write them out and read them. And most of the time, that's all you need to do to make the thing more real, to give it more. Because what you're doing is you're slowing down or stopping the process initially. Most people book in for a coach when they're stuck somewhere, of them creating a case against themselves over and over and over again, and presenting the same information over. Oh, you think you're good enough? Oh, here's the reason you're not good enough. It's this where most people are making a case against themselves, and producing evidence, even fabricating evidence. And then we slow that down or stop it. And then we start making a case for ourselves. That's a lot of fun, man. That's a lot of fun when you're walking along and your reticular activating system shoves a rad picture memory in your face, the time when things worked out because you showed up. Not perfect, not like you knew everything. You just showed up once again, and some really cool stuff happened, and you met some great people, and things got better. And you're like, damn, yeah, I did do that. And then from there, it's this thing that we want to set that up into an unconscious competency. It's where it's happening most of the time. So more of us is on team us, as opposed to the majority of us is on team I'm a fuck up. Right? Does that make sense? I just ranted.
No, absolutely. And that's a perfect explanation of it, because that's exactly how I experienced it. After going through level 1 Enlifted, the most transformational aspect of that was on our one-on-one call, when instead of working through the stuck stories, we did some level 2 stuff, and we celebrated my wins. That for me was very difficult to identify the times that I, did something right, that I could actually celebrate me. And since that point, it has been progressively getting better to now, like you said, the default state is the appreciation, right? And the confidence, as opposed to, the Billy in me saying, you're not good enough, don't even try, things like that. So,
dude, you're crushing it. You're walking around here like a king, because you are, and we
like a captain,
and because you are, and we want everyone to be that.
Yeah,
we want everyone to be, and to use your language, the captain of their ship, and get in the arena and make some mistakes and learn some things and get better over time, and have some damn good stories to share. And the reason, and we talked about this in between, before we did that celebrating the wins session. So Taylor showed up with a damn good piece of emotional work done on the stuck stuff, the negative stuff. And so instead of doing a traditional level 1, and what does that mean? So level 1, Enlifted level 1 certification is all about the art and science, nuts and bolts of remediating the victim mentality. And he showed up and he's like, dude, I feel I'm good with these stories. Okay. I'm good and very good enough with these stories. And so what do you do once you've, like I said, clean that space, clean that house? You celebrate wins, and bro, it's most people don't believe me until we get in there and they have the experience, which is why I stopped telling people. This is harder than you'd think.
Yeah.
It's harder than you think. And I tell the level 2 coaches, I'm going to listen, here's the Google Doc that's going to help extract these stories of wins, and here's how it goes. And it's this progression towards ourselves. Nice 3 nice things people have said to you, title it, write it out conversationally. Name 3 nice things people have done for you, title it, write them out conversationally. 3 to 5 things that you crushed. Title it, specific events, title it and write it out. The amount of times, it's not even a close comparison. The amount of times people have rescheduled their level 2 celebrating the wins one-on-one call because they get on the Google Doc and they're just staring at this cursor. Okay. Because I mean, this is taking a compliment on steroids, like big time. It's way easier for people to, because that's again where most people show up in the coaching progression. They're used to staring at the fails. They know how to go get those things. People are not used to staring at the wins, looking at the wins, or even considering them as a win. And what you'll find a lot of times is people title something that was okay, and they title it and write it down, and they're like, no, that's actually badass. It gets more real. It once it's titled and written out, it has more meaning. And as it has more meaning, that means the reticular activating system has been charged to the degree to focus more on those things.
That's why it was difficult for me, because it is a compliment on steroids. And I had always had a problem taking compliments. It was always, oh, thank you, but ... this thing that I messed up, or I still have this to do, or whatever it was. And I never really actually took the time to appreciate myself and to appreciate my efforts and how far I've come. It was always the next thing, get better, get better, get better. And so, yeah, on that call, the reason why I came into level 1 certification relatively, set with the stuck part is because that's essentially how I built the captain's lifestyle. Like, that's the whole point of it, is to become the captain of your own life, leave the victim mentality behind, become the captain of your own life, steer your ship where you want it to go. And that was the part that I was missing, was celebrating yourself as the captain. So that was profoundly beneficial for me. And it's still just the beginning. Speaking of becoming the captain of your own life, that's a very pirate term, right? And I like to describe this lake house that we're at here with an actual pirate flag waving out there as your own personal Nassau, the Republic of Pirates. This is essentially what that is, just a bunch of fucking captains coming together and creating good trouble. Talk to us about what you've created here. And the rock star party that we had on Saturday night.
I very much like that's way better than this is a pirate ship. This is an island in a sea of normalcy, where people can come and be captains. Be fantastic. That's the whole thing with us. Be fantastic. We know you are. We're gonna help you get there with your stories. And then it's so interesting and fulfilling. That's a low-key word for the vibe. Watching that happen, because we're in the rock star coach launching business. None of us want to do, we want to help people go. And there are language patterns to taking shots. Okay. Wayne Gretzky, I miss 100% of the shots I don't take. So
Wayne Gretzky - Michael Scott. For anybody who's seen The Office, you'll get that reference.
My dad played football back in the day at Ferrum University, which is about 30 minutes away from here. And he and his football team, they're very tight. I grew up with those dudes. And 10 years ago, they bought this house, which is on Smith Mountain Lake, for them to be able to congregate at and hang out and party, and then easily go over there and come back here. And so it was bought, and then they did a little bit of architectural structuring to it, restructuring, construction, to make it more large group friendly. And we set a PR this weekend, bro. On Sunday night, we had 31 people on the property. Most of them in the house. Captain, he's out on he's got a tent. There's a couple people in vans. And then let's just say 25, 26 people. It sleeps 19 in the beds. And
we got couches,
and we got blow up mattresses and floor. And this is, the amount of, neither Adam or I could count the amount of work sessions and conversations we've had where it's just himself, me, and Vanda at that table out there. And as this thing's grown, this has grown into mission control. And we've knocked so much shit out of the park from the lake house. It's got a vibe to it. So when people show up, I'm like, listen, if you got a business thing to make a decision on, or there's some creative stuff you need to do some writing, do it here, because we have the blessings of the pirate gods. And yeah, and it's spacious. Would you agree with it? It's spacious. People get out and there's even plenty of grass.
31 people here.
It doesn't feel like it.
No,
it doesn't feel like it. Yeah, and it's just, we brought in a disco ball on a stick and smoke machines, and Ryan Sprague with all the special stuff, and
Adam Chin wearing his fur coat with the beanie, the shades, the double Theragun.
That right there, that's picture of the year. I posted it.
Did you get a picture of that?
I got a picture of it. It's in, and I posted it in the coaches community. Hands down. Yeah, we got 2.5 months left. I'm calling it. It's picture of the year 2022. And so what that means is it's either going to get put on a t-shirt or a poster, which is, you've seen some of the posters downstairs. We started doing that because of the poster of Boss Lion 9000, Sam Ramsey, the guy. He got out of an ice bath and he took a picture like this, and he's all red and he's got this pink. There's a 50% chance I've got it downstairs in my room in one of these poster things. And I was like, picture of the year. And that was 2016, 2017, something like that. And then we've just done it every year. And I can see where this goes. It'll go on a shirt because people are asking for merch, and that shit's fucking hilarious. So we'll put that on a shirt. And yeah, it's absolutely not exclusive, negation acknowledged, to Enlifted. This is not rocket science. We did not invent better breathing. And my advice is get around a group of people that have worked on their breathing, that breathe well. And when that happens, there's going to be, everything will improve, from the workflow in, say, the kitchen. I mean, dude, Go Big Will, I'm still like, how the fuck did he do that? He's
fucking
cooking
Michelin
star chef, cooking like a motherfucker. Could have been.
He never left the kitchen.
He never left the kitchen, and he was partying too.
He was the last one to go to sleep, cleaning up everything, and then in the morning when I got up, he was in there making breakfast.
Dude, a force of fucking nature. So and he had sous chefs in there with him, and so there's a ton of collaboration. And whether it's the workflow in the kitchen, or the conversation, or you're helping some of these lovely ladies here. There's some beautiful women here. Indeed. Goddesses, dude. Cool dudes and beautiful women. Welcome to Enlifted.
What more could you want?
Sign me up, dude. I'm great with that shit forever. Like it's perfect. You helping Megan out there with some training things, or classes, or how many podcasts have you done since you've been here?
This I think is my 6th, and then I've got more today and still more to come. So yeah, a lot of
I want to take you to the airport on Saturday, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of productive of work is happening here, and it's a really good combination. So Saturday I just allowed myself to not do anything, just to fucking party and like just whatever the fuck I wanted. And
if
just,
you know Ryan Sprague, then you know what we're talking about.
yeah, it was a fun night for sure, but it was a healthy rock star party. I forget who said this, but maybe it was you, that this is essentially a healthy rock star party, because back in the 70s and 80s, the rock stars, they'd shoot up heroin and do cocaine and essentially what we were doing, but just on hard drugs. And we were doing it the healthy way, like good relationships, good people, laughter, fun, music, dancing, healthy food. And it's like, what more could you want? So we had that side of it. And then there's also the productive side of things. So if you want to just go out and, journal, meditate, do some work, there's the space to do that. And it's the perfect group of people who understand that balance between work and play. And everyone is welcome here. Like, come as you are.
Come as you are and be as you are. And there's a lot of people doing coaching sessions. Like, I'm graduating group 29, level 129 tonight. People getting on coaching sessions, getting off and going and playing. It's like, there's the flow back to the breath. Get your breath working for you. And there'll be this, you'll like, I mean, does anything improve when your breath is trapped in the chest? Maybe. I don't know though.
Potentially you could build some resilience if you consciously practice that in those situations, like getting yourself purposefully stressed out just so you can down regulate.
You'd have to be conscious about it. It would have to be a conscious practice. And if I'm wrong later, that's fine. If I'm wrong right now, that's fine too. Conscious diaphragmatic breathing beats unconscious shallow coastal chest breathing. It's a working theory and very likely accurate.
Yeah. Let's play What If the Good Stuff.
Oh, yes. I love this fucking game.
This was mind-blowing for me to understand, because as you know, most of the time, most people, what if the bad stuff? What if this goes wrong? What if I can't do it? What if I choke on stage in front of all these people?
What if they all find out? What if I stump my toe and it gets infected, and then I get gangrene and they've got to chop off my leg, and then I live under a bridge and nobody will talk to me anymore. And I've only got friends with 3 fentanyl addicts. It's like
just the worst possible.
Dude, it's this continuing train wreck. That's why they call it a thought train. It's just continuing train wreck of thoughts. And then you do that long enough and you're just paranoid about the universe, And yeah, he nailed it. He said it's true. Most people use those 2 words, what if, and then chaos follows, or bad things follow, and then it just gets worse in the thought process. We can also what if the good shit. What if the good shit? And again, you want to write that down. That's a spell. What if the fastest way to cast a spell, to break a spell, is to write it down. What if, and we do this in it's the last call before graduation of level 1, and we almost always spend at least an hour on it. What ifing the good shit. Draft it. Get 5. What if fantastic? Then you just fill in the best stuff. Who cares if you believe it or not? Because what on a technical note, what ifing does is it makes the idea easier to consider than making it a statement. So it's a slick way of socializing the idea, the concept, the possibility of the thing. And especially when we get the breath in there, when we add in what ifing and then the breath. And this is on an affirmation note on a whole. Most affirmations are off the rack and suck. What do I mean by that? You go to go look up list of affirmations on Google, and you'll get a bunch of mediocre affirmations that very likely aren't going to hit a bullseye for you, and half of them are stated in negation. And then, so out of the people that even explore affirmations, let's say half say them. And so you're repeating these affirmations over and over, and you hear things like, I just don't feel it, or something along those lines. That's because, once again, the breath is trapped in the chest. When someone's repeating good statements, and you can look at affirmations as goals for your mindset, statement sentences you want to believe more strongly in, that will benefit you in the ways that they will, and get you in the arena and help you move forward and enjoy yourself more. When affirmations are read out loud, and most of the time they're done too quick with the breath trapped in the chest, it's just this mental exercise that doesn't hit, it doesn't land.
It's just like you're doing it to check the box. Like, affirmation's done. Okay, what's the next thing?
1,000%. When you combine better words, because here's the problem, folks. The problem is words and breath. And the answer is words and breath, or some of the answers. Some of the problem is words and breath. Some of the answer is words and breath.
I would say most.
It's up there, dude. And so the problem is certain words, as in conflict language, as in victim mentality centric sentences and stories, plus breath trapped in the chest. And it's this feedback loop. So you use this language, you use these language patterns, it's going to stress you out. And then, because you're stressed out, you're going to it's going to lock you in to keep telling those same stories. And so more words, more breath in the chest, and you get this feedback loop until the breath in the chest is homeostasis, and that's where most people breathe as an unconscious competency. And so we go in and improve some of the language, or change some of the language, and make breathing more and changing the language will help start the process of unlocking the breath. And then we also raise awareness about the breath and throw some breath work sessions in there, and it becomes this thing that you're paying more attention to. And
I just want to point out real quick that when you bring awareness to somebody's language, and this is like the first time that they're hearing of, negations or soft talk or projections, that there's this unconscious sigh of relief. A lot of times, like, it's like this weight is lifted off their shoulders, and then unconsciously they just, I'm sure you see that all the time.
Yeah, you're 1,000% right. People get that when they hear the definition of the victim mentality for the first time too. There's like, oh, there's a name for this fucking thing. There's a name for this ghost. There's a name for this. Yeah.
Not today.
Victim mentality.
With Mark England flipping it off.
Yeah, dude. Here it is again, folks. The definition of the victim mentality. I'll do it once. The victim mentality is an acquired personality trait where a person tends to regard himself or herself as the victim of the negative actions of others, even in the absence of clear evidence. That's the reticular activating system. The RAS will fabricate fucking evidence, even in the absence of clear evidence. It'll tamper with evidence. It'll fabricate evidence. It will magnify evidence. And the second sentence, the victim mentality depends on a habitual thought process and attributions. Look at that sentence. The victim mentality depends, as in it has to have a habitual thought process, which means certain words that are used on a regular basis. Okay. And then and attributions. There's only one attribution. Attribution means characteristic. There's only one attribution that I give a fuck about when it comes to supporting characters. It might not even be supporting. It could be the driver, but it's the breath. Okay. Breathe in your chest, and you're way more likely to interpret things. You're way more likely to take shit personal. You're way more likely to flinch under pressure. You're way more likely to be scared into doing things by people that do not have your best interests at heart. You're going to be a shitty listener compared to breathing well. That's another thing. Get around people that are breathing well, and the conversations are going to be so nice and fluid compared to Walmart conversations, because breathing in the chest. Like, you get 5 people breathing in the chest, and it's called amygdala hijack. When people are breathing in the chest, their ability to listen goes down. You're not having a conversation. You're having 5 monologues. Okay. So get the breath in the chest and watch because people will listen, and it's nice to have people listen to you. And then you want to reciprocate. And then, wow, that was fun. And so when people learn that there's a name for this monster in their head, and that there are language patterns that create and feed this thing, create and sustain this thing. Oh, and then there's this stuff called soft talk, and I can start taking out these maybes and guesses, and I feel more solid and confident. And that email sequence just went way better. And I'm making decisions more than I used to be, which maybe that means I'm not actually an indecisive person. And I hear the words that come out of my mouth: maybe, actually, not. Okay. Translation: take out the not for maybe I'm actually a decisive person. Take out the actually. Actually implies surprise. Maybe I'm a decisive person. You keep doing it. You take out the maybe. I'm a decisive person. And that's a spell. That's a spell. And my favorite quote about indecision. So we lead with soft talk, or at least make that the starting point for people. It's the gateway drug. It's the easiest thing to get our head around. It's the easiest to practice. It's a little funny too. Malmodia says, I prefer the fear of making the wrong decision to the terror of indecision. Okay. So indecision over prolonged periods, it's very stressful. And like I said earlier, you'll eventually identify yourself as such, which then triply fucked. Yeah.
So to summarize, what if the good shit?
Yep.
And breathe.
Perfect. Thank you. What if this thing works? What if this thing works? What if I start sleeping really well? What if she says yes? What if they say yes? What if I nail this presentation? What if I actually get to go on that podcast? Take out the actually. What if I get to go on that podcast? Take out the get. What if I go on that podcast? And you'll like what you see in your imagination way better than what if nothing ever works out for me.
This can also work physically. I've been playing around with, while I'm doing either exercises, or this works well in the ice bath. Like, I did this with a max hang test where I'm just on the bar hanging. And I think to myself, what if I could hold on for 30 more seconds? What if I was strong enough to keep going? What if my life depended on it, and below me there was nothing, and this is the last amount of strength that I have in my fingers? What if I held on to that point? And I've gotten to that point to where it's like, I'm holding on. My mind wants to give up, but it's like, I'm just going to hold on until my fingers literally fall off. So you can get yourself to that point. Same thing in the ice bath. What if I enjoyed this feeling? What if I could relax into this? What if I could stay in for 30 more seconds? Same thing. And
dude, great job.
That's like the third performance enhancer. So I talked about with the ketones, understanding proper nasal breathing, the ketones, and what ifing the good shit for physical performance. Those are my 3 biggest hacks for that.
That's
anything you want to touch on for that?
Just to say that's high level. That's high level.
Boom.
And Mike Bledsoe and I, we didn't use that specific technique and in the workouts and things, and everybody used that because that's super legit. So before Enlifted became Enlifted, it was called Flow Stated. And what Bledsoe and I did, we did 4 workshops where we combined story work and then exercise. So workout routines, and there were the first one was done in his house, and the other 3 were done in CrossFit gyms. And story work, liberate some mental real estate, liberate the breath, help them draft and craft a statement. All you need is one. and go into a workout with it, with the understanding to rep that and breathe. And then the mind goes off, bring it back, hit that statement, whether you say it out loud or say it in your mind, and breathe. And what that does is it crowds out, oddly enough, even though it's one sentence in breath, it crowds out a lot of the other stories that want to creep in and get you to like, compare yourself to that other person for the 19th time, even though you hate how comparing yourself feels, or calling yourself a little bitch, and you gotta no pain no gain, and go hard or go home. I mean, come on, man, you're gonna go home. I don't care how hard you go, you're gonna go home. So let's say, how about go home, go hard, and then go home and have a nice meal and go to sleep on time. It's like, let's work on the words,
So
yeah.
Speaking of that, with Megan here, Ryan Walla and I were helping her with recovery, because she's a competitive CrossFit athlete, and she's all, go, go, go.
Yeah, you're right.
And Ryan was helping her work out something with her lat, I believe. Like she was super tight. And I forget exactly what I said. It was something along the lines of like recovery is the most important thing, or something like that. And then Ryan had her repeat this phrase, and I'm going to try to remember it to the best of my ability. It's of course I'm blanking on it now. Recovery, I'm not even going to try, but essentially he had her repeat this phrase: recovery is important. If I'm not willing to do the recovery, I shouldn't be doing the workout, essentially, because that's where a lot of athletes in particular get stuck, is with just the hustle and grind of the working out, and then they take the recovery for granted. Where, and not just with athletes, with anybody, if you're so focused on work, or it's primarily work is what people get caught up in, and you're not worried, and you're not focused on how you're going to recover from that. You're not prioritizing your downtime, the time to yourself, self-care, all those things. Yeah, you're going to burn out. You're going to be stressed. You're going to be tense. And yeah, how we get through that is through breath. And what ifing the good stuff.
What are some of the stories that people tell themselves, generally or specifically, to dismiss the importance of recovery? Could be a bunch of little bitch stories.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, that's what it was. Back when I was training to be a competitive CrossFit athlete, I would write on a whiteboard during the open workouts, like, go faster, you fucking pussy. Like, literally, this is what would get me fired up to keep going, is because I was in that mindset. Like, I just wanted to fucking destroy myself, because and then going through what's the program that you did, that Mike created,
the way the Enlifted
athlete, the way of the Enlifted athlete. Yep. That was like, holy shit, there's this whole new way to look at things, to where I don't have to beat myself up all the time, and I can actually feel good working out.
The silence and the space, the energy of down regulation is uncomfortable for a lot of people initially. And it's something that you can get more and more, comfortable with, and better at. And now you're, way, like I've said, way more about this stuff than I do. How does this fit? The higher someone wants to get, the lower they need to be able to go. As in permaculture, everything happens at the edges. A lot of the benefit of your grip strength training and all the other stuff happens at that last 30 seconds of holding on. And then a lot of the benefit of the recovery happens when you get that super fucking great sleep, when you're just so down regulated. So if someone wants to improve their ability to upregulate and perform well there, they need to practice the yin side. David Goggins came to the same fucking conclusion. David Goggins stretches for 2 hours a night. And if I was betting, I bet it's yin yoga. If I was betting, I'd bet it's yin yoga. And so you increase the capacity. I ended my fight career early because I had a very limited range of comfort when it came to my training, and recovery was non-existent. And that comfort zone was redlining. And someone redlines for long enough, and you're going to blow a gasket. Okay, I banged up my knee and jacked up my neck and blah 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 blah, because if I wasn't training as hard as possible all the time, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And I fueled my mental fuel. Because think about it like this, everybody. You all have mental fuel. Okay. You've got mental fuel, as in your mentality is fueling, facilitating what you do. And mine was, I'm here to prove that I am good enough because I'm afraid I'm not good enough. And I'm going to prove it every goddamn time that I walk in the gym. And that doesn't have a very long shelf life on it, turns out.
It's exhausting.
Broski. Oh, and by the way, your breath is trapped in your chest. And, you go under. Brian Jones said it, and he's a little bit of a yogi, big time into the metaphysical, spiritual stuff. I've known that cat a while, and it was interesting when he said it. He goes, if you're holding your breath, you're going to hurt yourself no matter what you do. And I thought about that, and I was like, I can hurt myself out on a date. Like, I go out on a date and I hold my breath and everybody's fucking tight. That hurts on a certain level. Or, I pitch my coaching services and my breath is trapped and I fuck the whole thing up. That's going to hurt. Going on and choking on stage, that hurts. Going into Thai boxing class and holding my breath and slamming everything, that hurts. Oh, and by the way, the best of the best, they're not holding their breath. They're fucking breathing well. Whatever it is, show me somebody who is at a high level and has got flow and makes it look easy, and I guarantee you they're breathing in their abdomen.
I forget who told me this, but it was in CrossFit. If you can't breathe well in the position, you don't own the position. So if you're doing a snatch or a handstand hold and you're just muscling your way through it, holding your breath and tensing up, you don't actually own that position. If you can't breathe comfortably in that position, you got some work to do. And going back to the training aspect, this was true for me, and I know it's true for a lot of other people who I work with. We crush ourselves so hard in the gym or so hard at work because we feel, just like you said, like we're not enough. So we have to keep doing. And for a lot of us, we view the down regulation and the breaks and the self-care, like sleep, meditation, journaling, reading, we view those as not doing. So this was true for me for a long time. I thought that sitting down for a meditation was not, it was weak. I was not doing something. I could be doing something else. Whereas I now, of course, know that simply being and just sitting and listening to my thoughts and working on breath or whatever it is, that is what allows me to keep doing. It's the P/PC balance, the production versus the production capability. So a good example of this is the what's the story of the goose that lays the golden eggs? I forget the name of that story. Is it Aesop's fable? Okay, it's Aesop's fable. So you've got this goose that's producing the golden eggs, and the farmer notices this, and he's excited, of course. And this goes on for a while, one golden egg per day, and then he gets greedy, and then he butchers the goose, tries to open it up and get all the golden eggs at once. And of course, it's just a bunch of blood and guts. So the moral of the story is, if you only focus on the production, aka the golden eggs, and you neglect the production capability, aka nurturing the goose, keeping the goose healthy, then the production goes away. So same thing in relationships. If you're only focused on the beneficial product of that relationship, and you neglect actually taking care of the other person, then the production goes away. Same thing for yourself. If you are only focused on your production, the doing aspect of it, and not the production capability, your ability to continue producing that work through sleep, proper nutrition, mindfulness, all these things, then your ability to actually produce diminishes, and then you're burnt out, and then you're fucked, and then you sign up for Enlifted, and then everything improves. Exactly. Speaking of the immersion, I know I've told you this, and I want to make it public on the podcast. At the Captain's Lifestyle Immersion, I thought, who are the fucking rock star guest speakers that I could ask to make this event a grand slam? Names that came to mind were Chase Tollison, Dave Robinson, Brooks Meadows, and Leo Savage. Every single one of them said yes. And I've been doing after action reports from the attendees of the immersion, and everybody who I've talked to so far has said that the storywork sessions from Chase and Dave, who are both level 3 Enlifted coaches, was the highlight of their weekend. That was their most beneficial seminar that they attended. We had some major fucking breakthroughs at that event. So Chase and Dave, they knocked it out of the park. They crushed it. The Enlifted method, especially those two, we got a compliment from Leo. He said that their performance was the best actualization of the Enlifted process that he has seen since that he's seen. Okay. Great. There we go.
And all I said was thank you. He called me, and getting a compliment like that from Leo is and thank you for sharing this. He called me a couple days later and just said that was the highest level application of the Enlifted method I've seen. And all I said is thank you, because that's my deal. I want to teach it. I want to be the best to ever do it. I want to be the best to ever teach it for now. And yeah, man, it's jujitsu, it's jujitsu, as in you could take 100 people and they train jujitsu with the same instructor, same 3 days a week for 3 years. You're going to have 100 different jujitsu practitioners. It's the same thing with Enlifted. We teach the art and science of dismantling the victim mentality, and then building up the architect captain's mentality, the hero's mentality, choose your words. And then people take these tools and they apply it in their own way, with their own rhythm, with their own style and their own timing in very different environments. Dave, for instance, he works, a lot of his sessions are coming from the recovery community, which it's the generally speaking, the people with the most Gnarls Barkley stories are the recovery and veterans. And he's been working with them for Starfish from Richmond for a very long time. And Chase is and the whole thing comes down to the interest. If someone finds it interesting, I find the language work interesting, they're going to get good at it. And yeah, that was music to my ears, buddy. That was straight up music to my ears.
Taking it back to the yin yoga that you mentioned with David Goggins and the down regulation process, you invited Jeff Lester here, who I had on the podcast, whose episode will be released by this time. And that was a fantastic yin yoga session. I was like, wow, that was really beneficial. And I started thinking, like, you've you've cultivated essentially the perfect puzzle. Like everybody here fulfills a specific role or purpose. Like we had Will, who fed us the entire week. We had Jeff Lester, who did the yin yoga. We've got different people who specialize in different things. And then we all come here together, and it's like the perfect environment for anything you want. Like today was my first time trying Hape, which I had Nate facilitate. Like, it's just so cool that we have all these people who are experts in these fields. And so how have you cultivated such a perfect, like, coming together of all these different rock stars?
That's a fantastic question. It's a question about community that Adam and I are getting asked more and more to speak on, because we can, like I said, we're about to graduate group 29 tonight, level 1 coaches. That means there's 290 coaches in the Enlifted community. My mom died when I was 20, and due to the way that the will was structured, I got a check for $250,000 when I was 34. And I had been practicing story work, coaching full-time for 4 years. And I took that money, and all I had was the pull to do it, go do this thing. Was unsure why. I had some of the information. I was like, okay, I need to go study some other shit. So I know that I'm making sure that I'm working with people in the best way that's fit for me, and I'm providing, I know what's out there. So I take that cash and I circumnavigate the globe numerous times, and I make it. I get to 8 of the 9 founders of the systems that impressed me most that I knew about. There's plenty of great shit out there that I don't know about. Okay, and so, and I would go and park it. I would go and I would take a training, and I'd get there early, a couple weeks early, and do some one-on-one sessions with the founder, and I'd take the trainings, most of the time numerous trainings, and stay afterwards, and I'd hang out with the coaches, and I saw a variety of different ways that communities were run, for better and for worse.
What were some of those trainings, just so we can have an example?
Neurolinguistic programming with Richard Bandler, family constellations with Bert Hellinger, conscious language with Bob Stevens, holographic kinetics with Steve Richards, the work of Byron Katie with Byron Katie, emotional freedom technique with Gary Craig. There's something about going to the source, man. There's something about going to that shit. Rebirthing with Leonard Orr. And what was that 8th one? The one I didn't get to was John Kehoe, Mind Power. And so what I saw, and it wasn't necessarily coming from them. And there was a weird hierarchy. And sometimes it was coming from them. Like there's a Robert Greene said it in his book, 48 Laws of Power. Never outshine the master. I was like, that's interesting. I was like, what if the master wants to be outshined? Mm-hmm. And I'm Dr. Simple over here. I've got one piece of astrological advice for myself, and we've had all kinds of stuff though. Like we like the doing and the stuff, and we like the woo too. And it is, so I'm a Leo, and it's, when a Leo is all about himself, he's a detriment to the community. Mm. When he's there to serve, he's invaluable. And I was like, okay, well, I know what both of those things feel like. And so to circle it back to your question, how does everybody's got space to be fucking rad here at Enlifted, and we expect that. We expect people to get even more awesome when the victim mentality is, the volume is turned down on it and moved over there, which is what we specialize in doing. And people stepping into, to use an overused word, their power or their greatness, or just becoming bigger. And we want people to be big. We want to take up your fucking space, people. Take up your space, be around people that they want you to be spacious around them, and watch what happens. So we have expectations for people to grow and get better and shine. And like I said, we just want, I want to see you on Rogan before I go on Rogan, or even if I do. Same thing with Ryan Sprague. It's like, we're good, and we want y'all to get the spotlight.
That's what I expected the answer would be, because when I got here, it was just like an instant permission slip to be fully myself. And I think once everybody has that permission slip to release their hesitations or their perceived judgments from others, and to really just be themselves and to fully give their gift, that's how we create this awesome community of Avengers, essentially just bringing the fucking rock star team together and crushing it out of the park. So we've been talking for a while. Let's start to wrap things up. What is the most interesting topic, discussion, story that we could wrap on for a bit to close things out?
That's a good question. The most interesting topic to riff on. What happens if we keep going? What happens if we keep going?
That, by the way, I think Dave Robinson said that on day 3 of the immersion, and that like hit something with Leo Savage, and he was like, holy shit, what if I kept going? What if I went even harder into Leo Savage? What if I kept going with Steel Mace Flow? And it was like, so yes, let's talk about that. What if you and Enlifted keep going? I've heard some plans talking with you and Adam. So what if you guys keep going?
One of the things, we get the game to be played with the words into schools. Get this in the hands of kids. I mean, they get it so quick for a couple of reasons. One, we've done a good job of making it fun, and then very frequently when it's presented to them, it's in a fun language game manner. And I got into this when I was 30. That meant I had a couple of decades, just say 2 damn good decades of repping and entrenching a victim mentality, which I had to remediate. I got to remediate. Thank God I got to remediate that. Thank God I chose to remediate that. Thank God I chose to remediate me. And that's a very big goal. It's a very attainable goal, and the app will facilitate that. So there are a number of things that are happening with little to no input from me in the coaching community, or in Enlifted. And one of them is the app. So we've got an app in the App Store, and it's pretty. It's a beautiful app, and it works. And we've got we created another business and operating agreement, and we have a professional app team. This is what they do: project managers, coders, designers, user interface specialists. And so I dropped off Eric Blackwell, who's the these are not the words he wanted, but I'm going to use them. He's the product manager. He had something cooler. It was a cooler title, right? I forgot. Forgive me, Eric. And I've been waiting to ask him this. They've been working on it for 2.5 years. And I asked him, if someone was to buy, what would the bill be for the amount of work that you've done? And he's like, $1.5 million. So we got $1.5 million app from pros, because they're like I said, this is what they do. That's going to that's as much, it's infinitely scalable it's infinitely scalable outside of the English language. So I haven't done shit yet. I'm supposed to have been writing the
Well,
level
this is
2
your month
manual.
off,
Oh,
huh?
buddy.
Well, hold on. This is if I heard correctly, this is the first time in 3 years that you have not had any running certifications, correct?
Correct. 3 years and 7 months.
So give yourself this month to do fucking nothing.
Yes.
Give yourself that down regulation process.
Yes.
This right now is what is going to allow you to continue growing.
He's right. He's right. Thank you. We're as soon when I get back on the clock, we're where we need to be with level 2 to write the manual. Took us 20 level 1 certifications to write the level 1 manual. It's taken us 7 to dial in the curriculum to write that. And where am I going with that is that we've done is the whole thing? No. And do we need to do the whole thing? No. Again, it's just turn the volume down on these boogie monster stories, the victim mentality, so people can move forward more easily most of the time. So we've done a damn good job of mapping out the cons of the English language and the pros of the English language. And then we can go to other languages, because there's only so many ways I can piss myself off in French. You know, there are patterns to the language of Mandarin that script the victim centric stories. So, and how we would do that is we would hire some professional linguists that can help us map those things. So we take this into other languages, and the end goal, and of course, my lane is teaching. I just want to teach the basics. Yeah, fine. When it's time to teach the quote unquote higher level stuff, I'll do my best, and keep supporting the coaches. The podcast is cool, and then hopefully avert the collective victim mentality. And I say hopefully on purpose, because as our friend Buckminster Fuller said, there's no guarantees. It'll be a neck and neck race till the very end. It'll be a neck and neck race till the very end, which will either be disaster or evolution, not revolution. I hear somebody talking about a revolution. I'm like, oh, you want all that retarded shit to come back again, and genocide and chaos and the victim mentality, and then, you know, all that. No, yeah. Let's evolve from sapien to luminous, Homo sapiens to Homo luminous. The only way that's going to happen is if the breath is unlocked. So the name of the game is to unlock the breath of humanity and all the other cool shit on the side. And hopefully we avert turning this planet into a piece of fucking toast, because the collective victim mentality could do that. And I've got more fun shit to do than Armageddon.
Yeah. Armageddon doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I passed.
Passed. Speaking of which, let's close this out. Can we?
I want to hear about what happens if you keep going too, though. Or I'm sure you talk about that.
Yeah, I will record a whole podcast on what is going to happen when I keep going.
Because you got the magic, dude. You got it all. All you guys keep going.
Oh, I like to say I'm 7 steps in to a marathon. Like this is still just the beginning. So actually, we'll leave this for round 3 podcast. I know I've got approximately 4 years before an event happens, and I imagine we'll get in a podcast before then where we can talk about this topic that I'm gonna leave this podcast on a cliffhanger.
Dude,
you know what I'm referring to?
I love riffing with you. I'll come on your show anytime.
All right. Mark England, if you could leave the audience with one phrase, then we're going to end the podcast. What would that be?
From our man, Alan Watts. When you learn to think about your thinking, you become alive in a new way.